welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks everyone for being here. We'll go ahead and get us started because we're 2:07 and want to make sure we get you out of here by 3 and a couple of action items to get to. I'll kind of organize the meeting. Bob is on speakerphone, so he'll be supervising from South Carolina. But not voting. He's not voting. Yes, we have a new member, Peter Albertini, here today. No, but actually the first order of business was to introduce, we have 2 new members joining us today, Elliot Talon and Stacy Beeler. Maybe we do a quick round of introductions so they're familiar with everyone in the room. We go from there. So Mike, could I start with you? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Mike Bishop, local banker, worked for Mercantile Bank. I've been on the DID board for, I don't even know, 8 years?
Longer than me.
Yeah, it's been a while. So anyhow, sorry. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Gutowski-Slater. I'm with Swift Printing on the other side of the river. I've been on here, this is my second 3-year term, so I just love learning about the DID.
Peter Albertini with Peter Albertini Properties. It's easy to remember for me. And I'm relatively new. I think I joined last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want me to introduce myself? Sure. Hi, I'm Stacy Beeler. I'm glad to know many people around the table, but thank you for welcoming me. I'm in my 7th month at Grand Valley State University and manage public affairs, communications, marketing, and all fun things around public engagement. So I live in the city and I'm excited to be a part of this group.
Kate Behrens, WC Manager, City of Grand Rapids. I've been on the board for a couple months now, so relatively new to the city.
I'm Jessica Wood. I'm the attorney from Dickinson Wood.
And I'm Tim Kelly. I'm president and CEO with DGRI.
I'm Alex, the Director of Operations here at DGRI.
Right on time.
This is Bob.
That's Bob.
Monica Steinkamp, Rockford Connection. And we're with both of you. So welcome. Happy to have you here. I think I've been on for a year or 2. Time flies when you're having fun.
Josh Longer, Grand Rapids Chamber, and I have no idea how long I've been in here.
3 years?
The coronavirus, the virus
Yeah.
kind of threw everything from the before times.
Colin Hillary with CWD. Been here a couple months now. So.
Nice. I'm Ashley Ward. I own and operate W Talent Solutions. We just rebranded, so I'm still getting used to saying that. And it is over on Monroe Center, where I own a building there. I've been on the DID 2 years, about. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for welcoming us today. Elliot Talon, lifelong Grand Rapidian. I work for Lambert, which is a PR marketing firm based on the other side of Fulton. Live and work downtown, live at Studio Park. So excited to be part of the team here and join up what you're already doing.
Oh, can we do staff as well?
Hi, Tricia Chapman. I'm city staff and your treasurer.
Mandy McDaniel, recording secretary and admin manager here at DGRI.
And then Kenzie.
Hi, I'm Kenzie Jimmy, manager of neighbor experience for DGRI.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And then we do have one other new member who's not able to join us today, Paul Skentos, downtown resident, who's been active with the DID through the neighborhood committee, downtown resident. So a few new faces, and you'll... Oh, Marion, I didn't see you there. Sorry.
Marion Minow, I'm also with DGRI, data and information specialist.
Yeah. And then last but not least, James Hughes runs all the virtuals. So that's the crew. You'll see a few more faces in and out, depending on the meeting. But all right, getting on with our agenda. So first order of business is approval of the minutes from January 2023. We have a motion. Do we have support? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It carries. Okay. Next up is acceptance of the January and February minutes. So there were 2 sets of minutes in your packet. We'll have Tricia walk through those and answer any questions you might have. Tricia.
Hello. Yeah, January and February were both in your packet. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any, but actually the second list of expenditures has both January and February combined. I wasn't aware that January was going to get put into the packet. So, so it's that last page of Statement C, January and February invoices that I would look for approval for. But again, happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions for Tricia? If not, we would entertain a motion.
So I'll motion again.
Motion and second. Yes. Good. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving right along. We are going to have Kenzie come up and give us an overview of the work of the Downtown Neighbor Network. The group's been active and just wanted to allow her to give an overview of the work they've been doing. So, Kenzie. You.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for having me today. So the Downtown Neighbor Network has been active for quite a few years, but I've only been here for a year and a half of that. And one of the first changes we made was forming subcommittees of neighbors that wanted to take action. They wanted to be a part of the solutions in the neighborhood and making the neighborhood a great place to live. And one of those subcommittees is safety. There have been a number of safety concerns downtown that a number of residents feel doesn't match their experience, that they feel that downtown is safe, they know that it's a good place to live, and they want to communicate that out to the wider city and even people visiting. So they put together a block audit to show the solutions in the neighborhood, such as ambassadors that they see on a daily basis, lighting opportunities, like they feel safe when it's well lit outside, but then they also wanted to show opportunities to improve downtown safety as well. So they created a block audit that's a simple Google form that they fill out just on a walk from home to their office and or wherever they're going, dinner, to a park, anything. And they just take note of what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, and the ways that they would want to communicate that out to a larger audience. So they created a report that I just wanted to share with you as a partnership opportunity for the Improvement District, as a way to say that neighbors are here with you. They want to be a part of the work that you're doing, and we're so happy to have not only Elliot, but also Paul on the DID board to represent the neighbor experience. Paul serves on our Downtown Neighbor Network, so I'm excited for you to meet him. But this report is just a simple way to show kind of what the day-to-day experience is of neighbors living downtown. So two things to call out specifically. One was accessibility, so working alongside the city for things like repairing sidewalks or with the ambassadors for shoveling certain areas when a snowstorm hits, for example. We also noticed that there were a lot of vacant buildings, and that was something that, that this group specifically wants to focus on in the coming year to address sort of that presence and vitality on the street of making sure that everyone feels welcome, even if they're walking by an empty building. You'll also see a lot of pictures in this report. We wanted to make it visual to kind of show, again, that experience, to show opportunities for improvement and also encourage people to traverse the neighborhood by foot or by bike so that there are other ways to get around the city than by car that make people feel safe and invited and like they belong downtown. So again, this is our first kind of crack at this idea of creating a neighbor-led solution. But again, we're here as partners and excited to work alongside the Improvement District Board to create a welcoming experience for everyone who's downtown. Any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer. Yes?
How do you engage, how does somebody get on the committee? And when do you meet?
Yeah, so we meet on the first Thursday of every month as an advisory board, and right now we have about 15 people. We meet at lunchtime, so 11:30 to 1. And that group is primarily who's doing this, but it is open to anyone. Anyone in this room actually could go online and fill it out right now. I can give you the website and a QR code if you want to access it quickly, that we will be promoting in the coming year so that it's more accessible for everyone.
There was some kind of safety meeting last night.
Monday night and then this morning through the city, yes.
It ran late because my wife was at it and I had to cook my own dinner, so it was kind of... No, she was very enthusiastic about the enthusiasm for the people who were doing it. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. Thanks. Any other questions? Yes, we can share the link with you because it's neighbors leading it, but really anyone who's downtown we want to be a part of feeling like they can make a difference in the neighborhood. So happy to share that with you. Thank you.
All right. Moving on the agenda, we are at item 5, snow melt repair. Melvin, I think you're going to walk us through the needed improvements to the Monroe Center snow melt.
That's me.
Yeah.
The snow melt's broken. No, it's still functioning, but we've got some fixes to do here. So on the screen, there are 4 locations which we identified have pretty significant leaks occurring in the roadway. So consulting with Geotech, they think it's 4 separate leaks, 3 occurring in what is phase 2 of the snowmelt on Monroe Center, and 1 occurring in phase 1. Phase 2 obviously would be the worst of the 2 kind of areas because there's what we think is 3 there. So we had Geotech take a look at the sites and provide us with a scope of work and a breakdown of what they think it would take to fix the leaks. And basically what they came back with was it's about $21,650 per leak location, so that's 4 of those numbers, for a total of $86,600. Kind of breaking down the following way, so excavation, so getting to the actual leaks, a little over $18,000. Meter hooding, so Geotech's team doesn't get a bunch of tickets, $250. Admin, inspection, and Geotech's sort of on-site work at $2,700, and then sort of miscellaneous stuff that they may need while kind of repairing. These locations comes in about $200. In the plan that Geotech prepared for us that sort of looks at the snow melt and sort of its maintenance needs, it does address leaks. We do budget for leaks to occur. We budgeted currently $46,000 between phase 1 and 2 to manage leaks. However, the plan also does sort of speak to the unpredictability of leaks. We don't really know how many are going to occur in a given year. There's a lot of factors that go into what causes leaks. So, you know, Geotech has kind of done their best to budget what we think we need. And I think historically it's been, well, this is just kind of an off year and that we're just experiencing some pretty significant leaks. The good news is there is a possibility that digging into where the 3 leaks are located, it could actually just be 1 really bad leak. So it may actually not cost as much as they're predicting, but they didn't want to lowball us and then have to rip the ground open and say, actually, this is going to cost a lot more than we thought. In addition to that, because of the significant expenditure to repair these leaks, the ask on the memo is also to increase the spending for the snowmelt for this fiscal year by $45,000. I don't think we'll spend $45,000 in addition to what we've already spent and this repair. It's just to give us some cushion to make sure that we can operate the snowmelt without having to come back to this body to ask for an additional budget increase. And the $45,000 additional dollars, should we need them, would be covered by the snowmelt reserve that we have for Monroe Center. So the ask here is for $96,902, which is the $86,600 plus a 12% contingency, just in case we get in the ground and find something we're not expecting, as well as approval to cover the $45,000, to increase the budget expenditures by $45,000 for the remainder of the fiscal year. And with that, I will take any questions you might have. I should mention, the snowmelt is still operating just fine, it's just leaking. So the leaks don't necessarily impact its operation other than it's pumping out a lot of water, so we're having to replenish the water a lot more frequently than we would.
Melvin, this is Bob. I assume this is going to get done yet this year?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
And you're expecting that half of this is going to be because we're not going to spend all of this year's assessment or collection on this for regular operations?
No, I am anticipating that we will spend all of our operational budget. So if we budgeted about half of this repair in the half of this repair's expenditures are sort of budgeted in our normal operational costs based on the Geotech.
So they're already in there, okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to add, importantly, the snowmelt fund balance is currently at $700,000.
Yes.
So we do have funding in that account to cover the expenses. Yep.
Just a random question.
Yep.
When the meters are hooded, do you do that paperwork or does Geotech do that one?
If they request it, we usually do it. Otherwise, they have a sort of team of folks that take care of it.
Just wondering. Thanks.
Any other questions? All good? All right.
Is this a time and material, or is this a not to exceed, or it sounds like it's a time and material?
Yeah, this is not to exceed $96,902.
That's Geotech's proposal or bid.
That's their proposal plus 12%.
All right.
Do we have any responsibility to shop at all, other than 96,001 vendor?
Into like bidding it out? No, they're under contract.
Yeah.
And they're sort of the
They're the ones
keeper.
that can.
They know where
Yeah, I think
buys are going.
we'd struggle to probably get another bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because they're the only ones that are maintaining it.
Yep.
Plus, they know. We hope for the vendor to know exactly what they're dealing with.
I have a question. What's the timeline? Those aren't quarters, right?
No, that's just the locations. The
Okay.
timeline, as soon as we approve it, I'll be on the phone with Geotech and they'll begin the process to start preparing it as soon as they can get folks out here. So.
How long do they anticipate it would actually take to?
That's a good question. We don't exactly know how long it will take because they're not entirely sure what they're dealing with. The spot with the 3 is sort of the big unknown. If it's just leaks and they're just large leaks, it's probably a couple days at the most. They'll take the ground up, remove the PEX tubing that's probably busted or missing or whatever the case might be, replace it, run some diagnostics, make sure it's still working, and then put the ground back in place. If they get in there and it ends up being something different or something more than they anticipate, then the timeline could be extended. But I wouldn't imagine more than, I would say, 3 days is probably a pretty conservative estimate.
Colin, one more thing to your question. It technically can't hold contracts, so the contract is with the city. The city goes through procurement process. Geotech is on that list. So there was a point where it was bid out. Because they have unique skills associated with the snow mode, that's why it goes to them. But just wanted to offer that clarification. Okay. Any other questions? Dialogue? Okay. So we have 2 things that need to get approved as part of this item. One is for the not to exceed amount of $96,992, as well as the $45,000 budget amendment to cover the repairs. I think we can do that as one motion, but okay. All right, so we're looking for one motion.
Move it.
Support. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you for that. And then last action item for us today is sort of the meat of our work over the past 6 to 8 months, approval of the reauthorization plan covering FY 24, 25, 26. Melvin will kind of walk us through the details, but I think importantly for this group, particularly those that have been around the table for a while, no major changes from what we've been discussing previously. We'll go over the highlights to make sure everyone's clear on what we're doing. So Melvin, over to you.
Can move to the next. The first thing we're going to just quickly touch on is the stakeholder survey that we conducted across residents and businesses. I won't go into all the questions that we asked, just kind of bring you the key takeaways. So largely, the stakeholders are satisfied with DID services. They're happy with the ambassador services, generally happy with Snowmelt, things like that. There's a continued desire for strong retail and restaurant marketing. This tracks across the last 3 surveys that we have done with our stakeholders. And the majority of respondents prefer to keep boundaries the same. There isn't a huge appetite, it seems, to expand, though I will say it does appear that this might be slowly changing. The Monroe North area gained significant ground compared to last year. So it may be something we want to evaluate more thoroughly in the future. And then there's been a call for better and more comprehensive marketing of the Downtown Ambassador Program. Just sort of as a general aside that stakeholders kind of let us know about. I think you can move to the next slide. And this is just sort of a breakdown of where stakeholders sort of saw their biggest priorities coming up in the next 2 to 3 years. Again, retail, restaurant marketing, trends the highest it has for the last 2 years. Cleaning of sidewalks and special event promotion kind of come in at number 2, pretty close, and then everything else kind of falls pretty low comparatively to those things. Any questions about the survey before we move on to the actual plan itself? Great. Yeah, Jess. Yeah, that's a good question. So typically we get about 60 responses. This year we opened it up to neighbors as too, so I think total we had about 75 responses. So gaining a little bit of ground in terms of getting some feedback for people to weigh in. So good question. All right, and then I think you can move to the next slide. So this is the timeline that we are currently on to get the DID through the full reauthorization process. So the top one there is hopefully we'll walk out of here with a recommendation from this body to the City Commission. At that point, we'll go to City Commission to set a public hearing, which ideally will happen next week, and then that public hearing will take place at the end of April, which will give us time to do the noticing that's required to stakeholders about the public hearing. The City Commission will hold a public hearing in April. They'll consider the plan. Approval will happen that month as well, and then the assessment notices will get mailed sometime in April. The roll will be open, all of those other things, and then ideally we'll be billing folks August 1st. And when I say we, I mean the city will mail those bills. Any questions about that timeline? It's pretty similar to the one we were on last year. We don't anticipate any hiccups in here, and so we should be able to stick to this pretty easily. As for the plan, I don't have any slides specifically, but yeah, like Tim mentioned, no significant changes this year, but there are some key points I just want to highlight. The first is that looking to increase the area-wide assessment by 6% in FY24 to cover the costs related to inflation. So our costs have gone up for ambassadors, for materials, for providing operations, and so we have not really raised the DID pretty significantly in the last few years, and so we're trying to just make the DID revenue catch up to where our expenditures are. I should also note part of that 6% is an accounting for the Perigo building, which was not on the assessment roll last year, and so if we were to add it to the assessment roll, it would actually dilute the existing assessment. So we have built in their assessment to this increase so that it will be additive to the DID budget. Hopefully that makes sense. Next is we will tie the area-wide assessment increases in FY25 and 26 to the state of Michigan's inflation rate multiplier, which will not exceed 4%. This is the same process that the city uses to sort of build inflation into their budgets as well. We're capping ours at 4% based on recommendation from the Reauth Committee. We're maintaining the resident assessment as a flat assessment of $120 per unit for 3 years. That's what it's currently set at and will remain that way through the current life of the plan. The snow melt assessment will also remain flat for 3 years. That's based on Geotech's assessment of maintenance and operation needs for the snow melt system. We didn't see a need to increase it. Geotech's the $170,000 that we budget falls comfortably within Geotech's projections for the next 5 years. And then there are nominal increases in sort of a variety of categories such as marketing, supplies, personnel, et cetera, that sort of reflect inflationary pressures on wages and other things like that. That's sort of the other piece in there too is that the plan is multi-year. The last 3 authorizations have been singular year due to a variety of variables that have been hard to predict, and so we feel that this time we are comfortable with moving forward with a multi-year plan. I will mention that every year, even under a multi-year plan, we still have to go back, review, and recommend the budget. So there will be opportunities to sort of tweak the budget based on what we're sort of experiencing or seeing in the field, though I don't believe we're able to change the numbers, if that's correct. We can't change the revenue totals and we can't change the expenditure totals, but we can tweak how they're expended. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Maybe just one clarification on that. So we can't go higher. than the number we set. We can always go lower.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of what we've talked about over the past couple of years, and recognizing that things change, and if we need to change, we can on the fly. If we wanted to go higher, we would have to go back and do a reauthorization process again. So it'll set the table for the next 3 years. You will see the budget annually, get to recommend priorities to the commission. We just wouldn't have to go back if everything stays as we hope. We wouldn't have to go back through all the noticing and et cetera that comes along with it.
Melvin, Bob, this still doesn't solve I like the budget, I like the way we did it, but it doesn't solve the problem with over those 3 years, if we get more big buildings or more building square footage coming on, we don't get to capture that until we do another authorization at the end of 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. So what Bob's referring to is the DID assessment is sort of set and it's spread across the existing properties. If a new property were to change or come online, the assessment doesn't change with it. It sort of gets spread out over the additional property. That being said, we don't anticipate or haven't projected out any significant development in this 3 year period. That should change it. The one thing we did account for was a potential increase in residential units in FY24 to sort of capture the eventual Sky Tower at Studio Park that's going in. And again, if that doesn't come to fruition, we can always adjust that assessment down.
Right, okay. Thank you.
All right, so that's the plan, recommendation. Happy to take further discussion, questions, or not, and we can seek an approval and get on with the timeline. Anyone? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I was curious, with the 75 people that participated, like what's the percentage response?
Compared to all the stakeholders?
Yeah.
I don't have that data on hand, but we could get it. Yeah, would agree.
And was there any open-ended responses, or was it just those?
Yeah, there's several opportunities for folks to provide comments.
There's about, for order of magnitude, there's about 1,100 parcels in the district. Not all of those are unique owners, so there's crossover, and so, you know, yeah. Was there another question over on this side? Kate, or comment? Yeah.
I vaguely participated in the subcommittee that put the budget together. Unfortunately, I had a lot of conflicts, but I did want to say, I do think from the materials that I looked at and the conversations that happened at the subcommittee, and Jessica was there too, I think. I think we dug in a little bit. I appreciate all of the information that Melvin brought forward to talk about. So I do think that the subcommittee did quite a bit of work to come up with a reasonable budget that addressed what we know from the surveyors, knowing that unfortunately not everybody answers the survey. But a lot of good work went into putting together the budget. I appreciate all the staff support for it.
Thanks for that. Other comments? Yeah, great. We have a move, we have support. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Melvin. Thank you, Bob, for your help in shepherding one more plan through. You keep saying that, I don't know. Yes, right. A few more steps, but thanks everyone for your work. So just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight in my CEO report. One, in addition to the DID budget, organizationally, DGRI is going through budgeting for both the DDA as well as the Monroe North TIFA. So high budget season, those will go to the respective authorities at the April 12 meeting, and then we'll be in front of the City Commission again May 9th, I believe. So that is the focus of all of our work internally at the moment. Some other things of note, however, we have quite a few Recognizing Women's History Month is still going on. We have a couple of tours to highlight. One is our Rad Women electrical boxes with the Rad Women A to Z. There's a tour actually this evening, 6 p.m. starts at the Graham. And then on the 30th, there is a tour also starting 6 p.m. Meeting at the Graham, highlighting some of the murals in our alleys, so the Women's Way tour. So if you have a chance, I would recommend checking them out because there's a lot of good artwork out there that you might not see in your day-to-day travels around the neighborhood. In addition, World of Winter is finished because it's spring now. I think, I know, I always hesitate on that. That event is wrapped up. Our team is putting together a report that'll kind of highlight some of the metrics, travel, some of the economic impacts. So we'll share that once it's done. But also of note, we already have 24 planning in place. So we have an RFQ out on the streets currently seeking traveling exhibits for the event in 24. One will go out in the next month or so, seeking some local artists to participate in the 2024 event. So already starting to think about next year. And then in addition to that, spring, summer events coming up. Relax at Rosa starts May 4. So that's coming down the pike. Return to the River, which is an event that we started last year, really trying to highlight activation along our riverfront. That is scheduled for August 26th and 27th. A couple of big art installations will come for that, and we'll have a ton of events wrapped around. And then last but not least, Art Prize is also happening again. So September 14 to October 1st to put on your calendar. And if you didn't see, the new executive director was hired for Art Prize. He was in town as of yesterday. He'll be doing a little bit of remote work in the interim while he moves himself and his family from Austin, but he is on the ground and working. So happy to have him on board. Those are the things I wanted to highlight, but if anyone has questions for me or Melvin or the rest of the team, please let us know. Cool. Seeing none. Yeah, I know, good. I appreciate your confidence. I am going to recognize public comment since we are at a public meeting. Seeing no public, however, I think we'll jump right past that to board member discussion. Anything from the group? Well, yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
The city is in the process, you may have seen, of working with our Public Safety Committee on a number of public health and safety issues. So we just wrapped our community engagement portion of that effort. If you had a chance to participate, thank you. So this was a conversation prompted by some conversations with our commission in December, concerned particularly around misdemeanor crimes and behaviors and observations downtown, and thinking we might need some additional ordinances to be able to get on top of that. Our commission's inclination was no, we think we've got the right criminal ordinances in place, but we'll do some additional things as the city with resources that we do have to bring to bear. And but we'll refer this to the Public Safety Committee for them to dig a bit deeper on whether there are other things that could or should be being done to get to kind of root cause issues. So not conflating the in-house community with criminality. We all know that there are some folks falling through the gaps, and we end up seeing folks on the street that are doing things that are against the law or marginally close to against the law. And so we need to look at what our systems are doing to help people avoid that situation. So we presented to the Public Safety Committee a number of things, including things the city is doing outside of policing to try to address that, some in partnership with DGRI, with private security in and around downtown and our parks to help people know that there are folks out there. Keep an eye on the situation, more enhanced cleaning. So again, we work with the ambassadors. The ambassadors do a lot of great work. We're coming along with heavier equipment to pick up and store property that is abandoned for a period of time and then dispose of it or return it to its owners. So we're doing a number of those things. We also presented about some systems work that's happening within the homeless response system and within the housing sort of side of things. And this was our community. Let's get feedback from the whole community, thinking about how you think about public health and safety. We hear those themes. We say, all right, with these programs that I just outlined, are we really hitting all of those things that tend to detract from feelings of health and safety? If we're not, what are those gaps? That's sort of where the Public Safety Committee would then come in and say, all right, we've heard from the community, we see what's happening, we think if those things that we've committed to do actually come to bear, and there's an accountability piece to that, will we have tended to address the things that we're hearing from the public about? And so that kind of wrap up analytical piece with a small lowercase a analytical piece, we intend to bring back at the April Public Safety Committee meeting, but I know that the topic is near and dear to many people in the downtown, residents and business owners as well, so feel free to reach out if you have questions, but by all means monitor the progress of the Public Safety Committee as well. And I do just want to say thank you to the DGRI staff, DID staff, DDA staff, whatever acronym we're using, always there when the city calls to think of ways that we can respond to what's going on downtown. So we're also working closely on some issues that have come up lately on the Skywalk, and working with the private security firms for those adjacent property owners to see where we can make improvements there as well. We're hearing of loitering and trespassing, kind of repeated trespassing of individuals, and trying to see how we can, I think we're calling it reduce the friction in enforcing trespass and making some things easier given the ownership confusion along the Skywalk and things like that. But I do appreciate DGRI's partnership, always willing to answer the phone and see what we can do together, so appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. How were those meetings pretty well attended?
They were surprisingly so, actually. So we had one Monday night and one this afternoon at the library, and I would say we had 60 to 70 folks at each one. We had quite a lot. We had facilitators and note takers at every table, and quite a few staff. So if I back that out, I'd say 60 or 70 folks from the public. I think a broad array of folks participated. I know for sure there was some concern that we were conflating criminality and homelessness, so we had quite a few advocacy. I think there was a lot of word of mouth for folks to come and represent different points of view around the table. So I think we'll get a broad, our set of themes around it will be quite broad, but that will help the Public Safety Committee kind of understand how what we're doing maxes up with people's expectations. So.
Great. Good. Thanks for that. Any other board members have discussion?
Yeah. A fun one in light of Women's History Month. There is a collaboration between Founders Tap Room here, downtown Grand Rapids. They are giving $1 per pint of their Irish Porter Cream beer. That is also made by a woman-owned farm in Guatemala. $1 of that is going to the YWCA here downtown as well.
Nice.
So go get your pints.
Yeah. Thanks for highlighting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyone else? If not, we'll go ahead and get you out of here about 10 minutes early. So thanks, as always, for your participation, and have a great rest of the week. You can stay as long as you want. The room is open.